Well, hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for a little post-concert streaming hang here. I'm so delighted to be joined by three of my amazing colleagues. We've got our principal harpist, Dan Levitan, principal flutist, Kathleen Reynolds, and from our cello section, Vanessa Rotolo. Thank you so much for joining me to hang out a little bit. What fun it was making music with you and putting this program together for everyone. So, I'd love to just check in with all of you, and it's a great chance. We don't get to hang out, after rehearsals the way we normally would or after concerts. And so just wanted to check in with each one of you, see how this kind of insane 2020 was. And now we can finally look and talk about a new year and how are things going for you now? What are the things you're looking forward to? But just wanted to check in and see how you're doing in general. So maybe Dan, you're at the top of the screen with me. So why don't we start with
Sure. I'll tell you, one really great bit of news is I get the second dose of the vaccine at the very beginning of March. So I'm looking forward to being, quote, 95% safe, or however safe they say I'm going to be. But I think we all still have to wear a mask, if I understand that correctly. So I'll be so glad when we can take these masks off and really see each other and talk to each other like we did before the masks. That'll be really great. And get to, just socialize a little bit with each other during the rehearsals and feel like, oh my gosh, I can't get that close. I'd like to tell Kathleen how great she sounds in all the concerts. I'm afraid to get too close and somebody might get upset with me. And then the person sitting to my right, who's 6 or 7 feet away, I want to say something to them. And I better stay away from them. And also it'd be so nice to see some people in the audience, right? And then Francesco, really, it'd be nice I know you have this clear plastic, so it's great, we can mostly see you, but it'd be nice to see you without the mask on too. So that'd be a really big plus. Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to that, and looking forward to not feeling like I always should be at home rather than going out. It's like, should I do this? Well, I really don't have to. Maybe I better not, So that's, I'm looking forward to having our freedom back, so to speak.
For sure. And how was 2020 for you, Dan? I mean, did you take up any special projects? I mean, what happened for you kind of musically or otherwise in that year?
Well, I was asked to do a recording on a small harp. So it's a harp without 7 pedals at the bottom. It has levers on there. I don't know if you can see the harp. The very characteristic part of the harp that's curved, that gives it its beautiful shape, that has instead levers on it, and that you have to manually lift them up or engage them or disengage them. So I worked on that in the summer, and the recording is just about done. There are a few more things that need to be done with that. So I was doing that, and then I'm still teaching. Everything's online, of course. All the teaching, all the coaching's online. And I'm also the president of a language company, and it's kind of like royalty. I inherited the position from my late wife, so I've been in charge of that. I've had to spend a lot of time on that. Where we've been we're trying to develop a curriculum to make this company stand out more than anybody else that's doing what we're doing. We have an incredible staff of teachers this year. We have 18 teachers. We're servicing many private and parochial schools, and all of that's going well. I've been able to have some time to communicate with people, make them feel like they're part of a quote, one team in our company, and make them feel like they've got somebody that listens and, somebody that's willing to help them. All this is on Zoom, of course, nothing in person. So, that's been keeping me busy. And the house is still not cleaned up like it should be. I'm wondering, am I going to get this done, before the pandemic really is officially over, So
it sounds like you have to worry more about how busy you're going to be once all your performing catches up with.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's right. I want this whole language business thing going in the direction we have it going now. I won't be able to spend nearly as much time if I'm, back at performing, obviously. Yeah. So,
Very good, very good. Thanks, Dan. Kathleen, how are you? What's been going on with you these days? I know you're always teaching a ton. Whenever I catch up with you, it's always in between your lessons.
Yeah, I am teaching a lot. It's that part has remained stable. I'm very grateful. I have quite a few Sonoma State students and more private students, probably more than I really want. But I have the time right now. So musically, I'm just teaching a little bit more, obviously, than the performing part. So that's I've been very grateful for that piece of my life. And with the extra time, my projects are mostly, we thought we were going to try to put our Santa Rosa house on the market. So we've been getting it ready, but now we're rethinking that. It's a nice neighborhood, but it's getting nice and clean. We own a house up in Mendocino area. So that's been our big project, and we had nothing to do. It's kind of a big rural area, and we planted an orchard and we planted a bunch of stuff. So I'm really balanced. Before I didn't have much of a balanced life as much as I would like, I guess, because I'm busy, but that's okay. So as far as some of the challenges, as Dan was repeating earlier, I guess my biggest challenge has been with this virtual stuff, even though it's fabulous. I am so grateful that we have the Santa Rosa Symphony doing this for us. Oh my gosh, I'm just filled with gratitude. I will be glad to get rid of my plexiglass shields, because that has been a real interesting challenge, because I can't hear what's behind me as well. I definitely can't hear what's in front of me as well. And so we're having to work really hard in our little areas to blend and play rhythmically with precision with everyone else. So that's been the biggest challenge, I think, is that cohesive ensemble for us. Not only do we have plexiglass shields, but we're spread apart. But it teaches you something new. I try to get the lesson out of this whole thing. That has been a challenge, but we will survive and we'll get through it, and it's all good. Like Dan, I'm just going to brag. I already got my second shot, so I am feeling very grateful. Yes, I got snuck in a little bit before my time, but yeah, I got my second shot. So now I know I'm not going to get sick. So that piece is really good. So other than that, like Dan, I mean, I'm looking forward to having some normalcy in our life, being able to play in the ensemble and hear one another and collaborate and chill afterwards and kid one another and have fun, and those will be good days. Looking forward to it.
I can't wait myself. I sort of wonder what it's going to feel. My hope is that if there's one silver lining, is that when we get back on stage, it's going to be like we've been playing a video game on hard mode, and suddenly we're just going to be like, oh, like this is a piece of cake now. Like no mask, no plexiglass. We're actually close to each other. So I'm hoping. I don't know. Probably we forgot all the things that are difficult about having 70 people on the stage at the same time. But at any rate, I'm sure that'll be a nice thing to get away from for sure. Vanessa, how are you doing? Great to have you here. How's your year been?
Oh, it's been a year. It's been a lot. There's been a lot of transition, like personally and loss and stuff. But I have to say that not just my livelihood, but just other stuff. But I feel like the pandemic has weirdly kind of it slowed everything down, and I feel like it's been an opportunity to kind of adapt in a different way. And so anyway, I've been although not performing, I've been teaching a lot and really, 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 really enjoying it more than ever. I've always taught, but I just feel like, I don't know, I love performing, but the everything that goes along with freelancing, the cooking dinner on time, getting the babysitter, getting the, whatever, gas filled, all that kind of stress of the kind of commuting part is, now that that's not there, there's just like this kind of time that I feel that I can kind of spend almost in every respect cooking dinner, and then professionally with my students, I just feel like I have this kind of more of a kind of an open-ended time for them. I have a lot of students. I'm busy, but I still just feel that, and so it's gotten me really into teaching more than ever. I also teach at a university, so it has a pretty pretty well established composition program, and so I've been lucky enough to kind of collaborate with some of the faculty and students, and so I've been doing recordings, which has been kept me playing, and in a way it's kept me more in shape, because as you know, when you record yourself, it's always you're a little bit more hard on yourself than performing, so that's been good. That has helped me stay in shape, and I've really been enjoying, you know, the remote collaboration with composers. It's different. It's you don't even hear what you're doing until, you know, much later, and so that's been kind of fun. And then the other thing that's just crazy is I was not getting enough, you know, income, so I did take another job, and I'm actually teaching at a preschool 4 days a week. I'm home with my 15-year-old son, remote learning, which is just like, I needed to get out of the house, and this job, part-time job, became available, and so I just said yes. And so it's been, at first I thought it'd just be like just whatever, a job, but it's been so great. I've loved it so much. I'm always full of paint and glue and everything, but it's such a totally different life over there, that it's kind of, when I come back to the music, it's just so fresh. And so yeah, a lot of that, it's like a interesting balance. And I get my vaccination too, because I'm with preschool. It's all outside and safe and everything, but so tomorrow I'm getting my first shot, so very excited.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Did it hurt?
Oh, you're asking me? Well, for me, I had no symptoms for several hours, and then that night, then it hit me, and the next day I felt lousy, you know, and then the third day, then I was okay again. Yeah, so I'm a little apprehensive about the second one. I've heard from other people the second one is the real potent one, so I'm bracing myself. It's the Pfizer, you know.
Yeah, that's one.
So good luck.
I didn't have any side effects, zero. So maybe Vanessa, you'll be like me.
Yeah, I'll
Maybe.
send you the same positive energy. How's that? Yeah.
It's really wonderful to hear, though, that this is rolling out for you guys. Just fantastic. So I'll look forward to the days I don't have to go to the fairgrounds every week to get my test. So I'll get stuck up the nose every week. So I'm ready for the shot. Like, you can stick me. Like, I've had enough swabs in my nose for a while at this point. So, one of the great things about just getting to hang out with you guys is I love that our audience gets a chance to kind of know kind of the non-biographical version of how you got into music and how you ended up in the Santa Rosa Symphony. So while I've got you here, Vanessa, maybe tell us a little bit about your background. How'd you get into music? And what was your journey to end up in our orchestra?
Yeah, well, I grew up in Palo Alto, where there was a lot of classical music, and Palo Alto Chamber Orchestra was a huge part of the youth orchestra, and had a great cello teacher there. And but I didn't actually start my college life as a music major. I had 2 years of a liberal arts education, and then transferred to a music conservatory in Boston. And actually, interestingly enough, that was when I first saw and heard Jeff Kahane. I think he was a visiting faculty there, maybe for like just a semester or something. And I just remember being like, oh my God, who is that creature? It was amazing. He was so amazing. And I just kind of never forgot that performance. And then when I found myself years later in San Francisco, I saw that he was conducting the Santa Rosa Symphony. I was like, yeah, I need to be part of that. And so anyway, I was lucky enough to get into the audition. And then I had no idea how amazing the Santa Rosa community was. And I realized over time how lucky I am to be in this orchestra. It has so much support and such a dedicated audience, and it's just been I just have loved it. So anyway, that's kind of how I ended up in Santa Rosa.
That's very cool. I'm such a huge fan of Jeffrey Kahane. I mean, I think I assisted him really early on. He was one of the first conductors I worked with right when I was out of college. So always been incredibly intimidated, but he's just the most wonderful person in the world. And,
I have to say, Francesco, I don't want to not say that I have this. I might be jumping the gun to the next question of just kind of this remote, whatever we're calling this orchestra thing that we're doing. But I just have to say, it's been so inspiring. I feel like your dedication and your energy and your creativity to kind of keep this going. It reminds me a lot of Jeff, and it's really inspiring, and it's really I feel really, I just want to let you know that it means a lot to us to have your energy up there and dedication. It reminds me a lot of what Jeff used to do too. So I just want to let you
Oh,
know.
thanks, thanks. Wow, it's just kind of incredible. I think I'm getting to follow in his footsteps in even one
Mhm.
small way. But thank you. Kathleen, what about you? Maybe a little bit of background. How did you get into music?
Yeah, I'll be unique in that I'm a born and raised Santa Rosa girl.
Ooh,
Yeah. So my mom was in the Santa Rosa Symphony as a violinist. She was a very accomplished violinist. So music was part of my life just forever. We just took piano lessons. That's just what you did. And then my mom wanted me to do the cello, but being the contrary person that I am, I chose to do the flute instead. So basically, I grew up in the Santa Rosa Youth Orchestra thing, but I eventually ended up in New York City. My flute teacher of San Francisco said, if you're serious, you need to go to New York. That was his thing. So I ended up there and fortunately got into the Manhattan School of Music, which I loved. And I went to school there and stayed there for quite a few years, but I was still like in my mid-20s. And what ended up then transferring over, because I was very busy, but my brother, he was in his 30s. He died very unexpectedly. And my mom was a mess. He had a 4-month-old and a 2-year-old, and my sister-in-law was a mess. So I came home, I took a leave of absence, and I came out here to be with my family. And so I ended up meeting my husband. I did go back to New York briefly, but I am truly a California girl through and through. There is no arguing there. That is who I am. And so I came here and Santa Rosa Symphony, Coric Brown and Norma Brown, who were here, were very, very supportive of me. They had pretty much known me my whole life. I was doing recitals. I was soloing with the Summer Music Festival here. I was really super busy. And then the symphony took a transition and people were retiring. So I ended up becoming principal flute in the mid 80s. Got the job at SSU, freelanced in the Bay Area. I mean, I did what everybody else is doing. And then I did have 2 sons. I have 2 sons. So I would spend my summers going to festivals. I went to the Tetons and played in Tanglewood one summer, and that's just kind of what I did. And then when the kids were born, I just settled in. So that's where we are. They're kind of launched, sort of. One is still in grad school, but yeah, I just love it here. And I'm very, very lucky. Like Vanessa said, the Santa Rosa Symphony has been fabulous. I've been through every conductor, Jeffrey Kahane, Bruno, Coric, them all. It's fabulous. So I've been firsthand seeing the growth, the new hall, the everything. I am so filled with gratitude. It's such a great orchestra, and I have been very fortunate. So that's where I am now. Still in Santa Rosa.
Well, I think we can say the Santa Rosa Symphony is so incredibly lucky to have had your leadership for far longer than any conductors. We've been coming and going apparently, but I mean, how fortunate we've had to have that kind of stability and leadership on your behalf. So just incredible to hear that, Kathleen. Wow. Dan, what about a little background on you and how you got going on the harp?
Oh, sure. First, I'm gonna reiterate what Vanessa said. Your energy and your enthusiasm on this podium is just, it's just you. I'm not needed for many of the sets. The sets where I am needed, you're such a pleasure. What can I tell you? I really agree with Vanessa on all of that. So I'm always glad when I get to work with you. I always consider it a privilege. So, and anyway, but now, a little bit of my background, I'll tell you about that. I'm from the East Coast, and I grew up in Philadelphia, not all that far from New York, where Kathleen did some studying. And I was thrilled to get to come out here. And it took me 2 days to become a native Californian. But so, I have an aunt that lives in Philadelphia, close to where I grew up, and she'll say, Dan, or Danny. She calls me Danny, which I hate. I'd rather be Dan. Danny, when are you coming home? What do you mean home? I am home. I'm in California. I'm not moving. There's no way I'm moving back to the East Coast. But I got started. My parents and paternal grandparents owned a business school, and they had one of the students play the piano. And he was playing a boogie woogie piece. I don't remember, and I don't think I'd ever know which piece it was, but I can remember his name was Sam. And somebody encouraged him to play the piano. The excitement that he generated after finishing whatever he played, I just pointed to it and I said to my folks, I want to do that. So I started on the piano about 2 years later, 2.5 years later. We didn't have a piano. I had to practice at the business school. I hated to practice. And let me tell you, if I could get away without practicing now, it doesn't work, but I would even try if I could get away with it. But I know it doesn't work. I've tried it too many times. But in high school, I was in an all-male high school, public high school in Philadelphia, and they were offering the harp. And 8 of us auditioned, and somehow I was picked to go in the orchestra. And I thought, this is incredible. I had never experienced anything like that. Hear all these sounds and try to play something along with everybody and fit it into the right place. And I didn't even know you had to tune the harp. I thought somebody came and did it for me, so there were so many things to learn. And I can even remember the high school conductor saying to me at one point something about a profession as a harpist. And I thought in my mind, you're out of your head. I didn't say that, but I really didn't think I'd be a professional harpist. I always wanted to perform. I like performing. I loved the energy. It was just the same thing as watching that pianist when I was 5 years old. I loved the energy that it creates and the enthusiasm that the audiences get from hearing a performance or participating in it. And I came out here, it was like 300 years ago, before California became a state. And I auditioned for San Jose Symphony, and I worked with a music director named George Cleave. I don't know if any of you know him, but that's where I got conservatory training with George Cleave. I figured if I could play for George, he was a brilliant musician. And I'm very good friends with his wife, who's also a very fine flutist. And we did a lot of playing together. But I figured if I could play for George Cleave, and I played for him for 14 years, where he was the music director, I could play for anybody. And I still feel that way. Because there was, he as much of a genius as he was with his music, there were other parts of him where it was like, really? Is this what we're going to deal with today? I mean, I could walk into a rehearsal, look at his face and say, I know what kind of rehearsal we're going to have today, But what I learned from him, and I got to be a soloist with him many times, and it was an incredible experience, and I've had some wonderful experiences in California. I'm contracted in 3 orchestras. I live in Fremont, which is 25 miles north of San Jose. And so for me to go to Santa Rosa, I have to stay there. I have now 3 different people that will host me. I keep looking for more hosts, but I love playing in the orchestra. I really enjoy it. And I had no idea the level of the orchestra when I first got into Santa Rosa Symphony. And the hall is amazing. I came in when Bruno was the music director, and then it's been a blessing to work with Bruno. Like I said, blessing to work with you, Francesco, and a blessing to work with the other musicians. And Kathleen, what I do like about hearing you on the stage, I can hear you better because I get to sit a little bit closer to you. So I'm going to miss you a little bit when we are not so close together, I don't hear the strings as well because of where we are, but I can hear the winds much, much better. It's really great. So that's a little bit of my background. Yeah.
That's great. Well, I want to be respectful of our time. Just maybe we can have a quick go around and just any kind of final thoughts on this virtual series we've been doing. Anything that kind of comes to mind, a memory, a piece, a moment, something you're looking forward to. Dan, I'll throw it right back to you. Some final thoughts.
Oh my gosh. I can't think of one specific thing right now. I know somebody will ask me, something really, really special in Santa Rosa Symphony. I mean, I can just think of doing, I can think of something with Bruno, particularly, where, he was, I mean, it seemed like he, well, like you, I mean, you're married to a harpist now, I mean, you you can tell what's going on. I mean, Bruno was so well in tune to the harp. I can remember doing demos on Symphony Fantastique. And just remember going over and over and over, there's a scale passage in the second movement, where the harps are all by themselves. I just remember going over that with Bruno, and then Randy Pratt is the other harpist that plays, and just looking at each other. Okay, we're just going to go for it now. All right. I mean, that's what I remember very much. And I also, something else that I remember very much is Roy, our first clarinetist or principal clarinetist. I remember sitting in the back of the hall listening to his clarinet concerto. I think it was Mozart. And I just remember how beautiful it sounded, how artistic he was, and what a pleasure it was to sit in the hall and hear someone so clearly. I always thought that was amazing. So that a couple things that stand out for me. Nice. So I'll let somebody else share. I could easily hog the whole talking session myself.
Kathleen, over to you.
Well, I'll just kind of stick with this season since October. The silver lining, I think, is getting those opportunities to play things we normally don't, like the Strauss Serenade. That is, I'm looking forward to the Brahms. It's just repertoire that we haven't played, or if we have, it's been a very, very long time. The chamber music, the intimacy of the chamber ensemble and playing that way is something when you're in the big orchestra of Mahler and whatever, we don't experience. So it's been nice to have that real opportunity to play repertoire we haven't played before. So that has been one of my silver linings.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more, getting to work on some music I wouldn't normally get to.
Exactly.
How about you, Vanessa?
So I kind of forgot that it's a question.
Oh no, just any kind of, we're just doing kind of like final thoughts on what this, what the virtual season's been like for you, or anything in particular that stuck out.
Anything that stuck out. I mean, it would have to be just the kind of general feeling that I had when the first Santa Rosa virtual concert that we did, and just what kind of happened when we were all playing together, and there's a very specific reaction that you have when you're part of a beautiful symphony orchestra, just being part of something bigger. It's not the entire orchestra, but just being part of something so big and so beautiful that I think that I had forgotten that feeling. And so I think that was that kind of impact of that very first the Beethoven Symphony. I remember feeling just like, oh God, that's right. I forgot what this feels like. And because it has been so long. And so again, I'm very grateful for what you've done, Francesco. I really am.
Well,
for reminding me.
I mean, and for everyone watching, I mean, you're all a part of helping us make this work. So thank you all. I mean, the community of Santa Rosa has been so committed to us kind of taking this journey and putting ourselves out there and seeing what we can do to keep everyone connected. But, in many ways, it is a lot more work on stage. And the three of you have just been incredible this season. Thank you so much for your amazing work. And what a joy it is to make music together. All we need to do is get our audience back in the hall, and we can feel whole again. But thank you all so much for your time, and can't wait to get back on stage together.
Likewise.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.